The most lethal enemy in the Pacific theatre or the scorching dunes of North Africa wasn't the Axis powers. It was the relentless biological clock of dehydration. We are digging into the forgotten archives today on Atten Recounts to uncover exactly how downed pilots, stranded paratroopers and resistance fighters pulled moisture out of thin air when their canteens ran dry. Before we analyze the mechanics of these survival improvisations, make sure you subscribe to the channel right now so you never miss a briefing on the lost technologies and survival skills of the past. Thousands of soldiers died with full canteens because they didn't understand the physiology of water conservation, while others survived weeks on rafts by harvesting the ocean's humidity. We are not just talking about theory here. We are looking at the specific, field-tested physics that kept men alive when logistics failed. This is about turning the environment into your supply line. The desert teaches us that moisture exists even in the driest sand. The Special Air Service operating in North Africa quickly learned that the ground beneath them held water, even if it looked bone dry. They utilized a method that relies on the temperature differential between the earth and the air, known today as the solar still. To replicate this battlefield improvisation, you dig a hole roughly 3 feet across and 2 feet deep in an area that receives direct sunlight. The physics here is simple evaporation and condensation. You place a collection vessel like a cut-off canteen cup or a helmet in the dead center of the hole. If you have any green vegetation or even urine, you place it in the hole around the container, but never inside it. You then stretch a plastic sheet or a poncho over the hole, sealing the edges with sand or rocks to make it airtight. The critical step involves placing a small rock in the center of the plastic, directly over your container. As the sun heats the air inside the trap, moisture evaporates from the soil and plant matter, condenses on the cooler underside of the plastic, and runs down to the weighted center, dripping pure, distilled water into your cup. It is a slow process that requires patience, yielding perhaps a pint a day, but that pint is the difference between delirium and survival. Vegetation can be milked for water without destroying the plant. In the dense jungles of Burma and the Pacific Islands, the challenge wasn't a lack of moisture, but the toxicity of standing water. Dysentery debilitated more troops than shrapnel. The solution lies in transpiration bags, a technique used by evasion and escape experts who couldn't risk a fire to boil local water. Trees and bushes naturally release water vapor through their leaves during the day. You can harness this by taking a clear plastic bag, heavy-duty material works best, and placing it over a leafy branch that is in direct sunlight. You must tie the bag off tightly at the branch stem to trap the escaping gas. Inside the bag, the greenhouse effect takes over. The leaves sweat fresh water, which condenses on the plastic and pools at the bottom. The brilliance of this WWII method is that the tree filters the water for you. You do not need to chemically treat this water, provided you avoid toxic plants. A soldier could set up 10 of these bags along a trek line in the morning and return to litres of clear water by late afternoon, all without expending the calories required to dig for a well. The morning hours provide a lifeline if you know how to harvest condensation. Naval aviators and sailors adrift in the Atlantic face the cruel irony of being surrounded by undrinkable salt water. Their survival manuals emphasized the harvesting of dew. This relies on the thermal mass of the survival craft cooling down overnight. The technique requires a large surface area of fabric, such as parachute silk or canvas tarps, spread out before dusk. As the air temperature drops below the dew point in the early hours of the morning, atmospheric moisture settles on the fabric. The critical operational step is waking up before the sun rises. Once the sun hits that fabric, the dew evaporates instantly. You must carefully fold the fabric into a funnel shape and wring the moisture into a container immediately at first light. History shows that rafts maintaining strict dew collection discipline could extend survival times indefinitely, turning the cool night air into a renewable resource. Filtration requires patience and the correct layering of natural materials. When surface water was the only option, such as in the muddy trenches of the Eastern Front, direct consumption was suicide. Partisans developed field-expedient filtration systems using gravity and carbon. You can build this by cutting the bottom off a container or using a hollow log or bamboo section. The layering order is non-negotiable for effective filtration. You place a piece of fabric or grass at the bottom to hold the medium. The first layer above that is crushed charcoal from your fire, which acts as the chemical binder to remove toxins. Above the charcoal goes fine sand, then coarse sand, and finally small gravel or rocks at the top. You pour the muddy water through the top. The rocks filter large debris, the sand catches particulates, and the charcoal handles chemical impurities. While this doesn't kill all bacteria, you still need to boil the water if possible. It turns sludge into clear, manageable fluid that won't immediately wreck your digestive system. Old military doctrine regarding water conservation often led to tragedy. We must address the psychological aspect of survival that changed drastically after the war. During World War II, many commanders enforced water discipline, believing that soldiers should conserve water in their canteens and only drink in small sips. This was a fatal error. Medical officers recovering bodies often found dehydration victims with half-full canteens. The modern survivalist understands that water in the canteen does nothing for the body. It must be in the system to maintain cognitive function and thermoregulation. If you are in a survival situation, you drink what you have to stay rational and mobile. Rationing water to the point of impairment leads to poor decision-making, which is what actually kills you. The lesson from the history books is stark hydrate fully when you have the supply, and focus your energy on the next acquisition method rather than hoarding a pint of water while your kidneys fail. This knowledge was bought with the lives of the greatest generation. It is our duty to remember it and apply it. If you found value in this deep dive into historical survival, share this guide with a friend who appreciates the reality of the past. Subscribe to Atten Recounts for more insights into the mechanics of history.